Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in the bunker. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, common sense, and things that go bang. That was probably pretty loud because I moved my mic. So we're going to kick this off. I think the episode is called Return of the Brandon. I had to do it. Let's go, Brandon. I mean, he's just proven himself to be a shit show once again. You know what I mean? We're seeing it all over the place. But what we're seeing, fortunately, is we're starting to see people talking about more the middle. And one of the things that's coming out, because we've been hearing a lot about what Disney's doing, and Disney's pissed off about this, and Disney's mad about that, and who cares, really? I mean, I gave up on Disney a long time ago. But that's a different episode. But anyhow, I found this interesting, that a majority of Americans approve of Florida's family protection, or don't say gay. Let's just call it don't say gay. Everybody knows it as that, so we might as well just call it that, right? It's stupid, but it's a constant reminder of how the left wants to label things. You know, they love their labels. They love their check boxes and their labels. But a majority approve, including 55% of Democrats, because it isn't about trying to stamp out the LGBT community. It's about the appropriateness of discussing it at a young level. And, while everybody's bitching about this, what else did DeSantis do? He signed a bill to require high school students in Florida to take financial literacy classes in order to graduate, including lessons on credit scores, managing credit card debt, types of bank accounts to open, and how to file your taxes. See, those are the fundamentals of what people label as privilege. A lot of people, such as myself, we learned these things. We took home economics. We took business math. We took stocks and bonds. We took classes that covered these things. And it does give you an advantage. The more you know about the financial institutions of America, the better you can operate in the financial institutions of America. The more training you get in how to spend or not spend or save or where to save and all of that, that's important stuff. And he's going to require it in high schools. So as you can see, one thing plus another thing, it comes out with a good result. Children need to be taught what they need to know to survive in the world, the business world, the job world, whatever market we're talking about. That's what we need them to learn. We don't really need them to learn sexual identity. We don't need them to learn, I would even say, sports. They don't need to learn that. They need to learn financial literacy, because that's something that is going to affect every single person who graduates and doesn't graduate. Everybody who goes through the school system is going to need to know financial literacy, and that's an important thing. And that's what's being done down there. But the left just wants to concentrate on the Don't Say Gay bill, and Disney just wants to concentrate on the Don't Say Gay bill. That's it. That's the kind of lunacy that we're dealing with. Here's some other fun news for everybody. California City spent huge share of federal COVID relief funds on police. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but LA took half of their money and spent it on the police. So you can see that that's where the money needs to go. That's where politicians choose to put funds. And then they turn around and, like in LA, Garcetti called them murderers. Yeah. That's why I'm advocating for a new form of leadership. So another big story, Elon Musk bought a 9.2% share in Twitter. He is the single largest shareholder. I don't think that means that he could reinstate Trump, but that would certainly be fun. But one of the good things that's happened here is, if this is to be believed, you already have people leaving Twitter in outrage, and that's good. People who get triggered and people who get offended too easily and over made-up subjects, they don't need to have power. They don't, okay? They don't. You can't say what Trump did was any worse than what Maxine Waters did, and she's on there. And other dictators, actual dictators, are on Twitter still. So, if you're going to pick and choose who to enforce rules upon, then I think you need to either change or go. This guy, Michael Schellenberger, he was a Democrat, and he's now calling himself a centralist. And that would be great. That would be great to see here. If California could become a truly purple state. They often say that California leads the nation in these agendas. We don't lead the nation in, curing poverty, homelessness, or crime. We're at the bottom of the barrel on those things. We suck at those things. But possibly we can get somebody in there who's a little more towards the middle, dedicated to the middle, dedicated to common sense, dedicated to trying to find real-world solutions. We have a homelessness problem here, and it's not caused by home prices. It's caused by drugs and mental illness and a lack of police enforcement of anti-camping laws and transient laws and defecating in public laws and drug use laws. We enforce the laws. If we need to build more prisons, build more prisons. That's my slogan. Jen Psaki, she's going to be gone soon, I hope. I've already said goodbye to her, but, she popped up again. But, saying that every major medical association agrees that gender-affirming healthcare for transgender kids is the best practice and potentially life-saving is ignoring the results out of Sweden. And it's ignoring the results out of Amsterdam. I talked about it last week. In Amsterdam, they found that it shortens life expectancy by 50%. In Sweden, much like Denmark and France, they have ceased providing these drugs because after 22 years, they realized that there are a lot of health complications. And this isn't a decision that should be made by an adult for themselves. That's it. It's illegal for you to buy alcohol for your underage kids. Pure and simple. And it should be illegal for them to put them through gender reassignment at a young age. This is something that needs to be thought out, and only as an adult should you make that decision for yourself. Nobody should be allowed to make that decision for you. That should rest squarely on your shoulders, not your parents. I found this one just kind of funny. In Ohio, you need a license to fish, but not to concealed carry a gun. And Representative Ron here fires back, so let's get rid of the license to fish, which I just thought was absolutely hilarious and right on the money. So here's some more news you might not have heard about. Putin was going to cut off gas supplies to Europe, said I need my money, and they paid him the money. So, Trump being mad at NATO, you can see where it is. Russia literally has them over a barrel, and Europe pays. And these kind of things are going to be kept quiet? No, we need to know the reality. Without the actual facts, you should not judge a case. Period. So how are we accepting these lies and half-truths when it comes to forming public policies and spending our money? Yeah, this is a quick one right here. This bakery refused to make a cake for a gay wedding or something like that. And, they were defamed by a college. And the college now has to pay $50 million. Because we're starting to see the repercussions. We're starting to see it. You're starting to see things for what they really are. You're starting to see these far left organizations, colleges, things like that being held accountable for their stupidity. And it's good. But it needs to be out there for mass consumption. It shouldn't be hidden just on people's accounts that care about such things. This should be national news. Yeah, this is a little bit of a preview because BLM is popping up. I was going to call the episode PTL, the BLM, the New PTL. You can look that one up, but it's a scam. Capitalism doesn't love black people. Black Lives Matter used donations to buy a $6 million Southern California home. We're going to get into that because there's a lot more to that story. But, I just want to feature Defiant L's. Love the account. I'm just going to skip that one. There was a guy who ran steel, and his handle was big. Biden has had just a miserable week. He is really starting to show his age. You can see it. You can see how these kinds of positions of power age a person. You can look at Zelensky. Guy looks like he's aged 50 years in the last month. But yeah, he rambled on about being a truck driver. He likes to pretend that he was once a truck driver. I don't know where he gets the idea. He was once driven in a truck, so maybe he's just getting confused. And it's frightening because we don't have a plan B. Hey, you guys made this guy your plan A, but your plan B just sucks, man. You can't appoint people simply because they're a black woman. We needed somebody as the vice president who was competent, who was qualified, who could actually tackle real issues. I'll tell you this right now, people out there, don't vote for politicians who come out of California right now, because they have built their career in a very sympathetic culture. Nobody ever questions them. Nobody ever pushes back. All of the people in power circle around to protect them. And when they get out in the real world, like Kamala here, we see what buffoons we elect here in California. But yeah, he rambled on about being a truck driver. I like some of these responses. I'll take 500 for shit that never happened, Alex. A couple other people chimed in. Similar thing. He wasn't a truck driver. There you go. Another weekday at Biden's. I believe the correct term would be another weekday at Brandon's. But yeah, Obama had to come out and remind people of how great the Democrats were back when he was president. And you know what? Compared to the Democrats of today, they were great, I guess. I didn't vote for Obama. I didn't like him. He did things that I did not like and affected me directly. Unlike Trump, who just triggered you people because you were told to be triggered. But yeah, they're trying to prop this guy up. I love this one. So it turns out I'm Brandon. That's a great one. You can see him looking back there. He looks lost. I'll be honest with you. This was off the video at the Obama thing. And I simply put my screen capture up and it's, just hit boom and took the picture. And that's how Brandon looked back there. Confused, lost, in over his head. You got Kamala just soaking up the adulations or whatever. She is a horrible politician. If we get rid of Biden, that's who's going to be running this. That's going to be sad because the first woman president of the United States, first female president of the United States, will literally be one of the most unqualified people on the planet to be the first female president of the United States. It's a shame, but that's what Democrats do. I hate to tell you guys this, okay? But Democrats like to shit all over women. They really do. Look at the track record. Look at what they support. And because they think, hey, look, we'll give them the right to abortion. They should just shut up and make pancakes. See, again, this was, people are crowding around to talk to Obama. They're crowding around. And fucking Uncle Sleepy is just wandering around. That, there's a video out there. I wish I could find it, but, former President Trump was shaking hands with, I believe it was Putin, and basically puts his hand out and just pulls him towards him. That's what we had. That's what we've had. We have had presidents that had balls, that had their brains intact. This guy doesn't. Okay? All this Brandon shit that we run around with, right? It's because we can't respect him. We can't respect him as the president. You didn't respect Trump, okay? Even if Trump did something good, you didn't respect him. And so you can't expect us to respect this guy. What a horrible choice. Do you really think that my plan to be a centralist, to operate with common sense and in the middle, do you think that would allow for us to pick the oldest guy in the room? Somebody who has a track record of meh. We're not looking for meh. We're looking for people who can stand up and hold the line. He can't. He could barely hold himself together. And his backup, Kamala, the token, wow. So this was a very interesting article that I came across. In 2018, the New Fortress Energy Company applied to build a $800 million natural gas processing plant. And that, of course, was shut down by Biden. The odd thing is that the target operational date was supposed to be the first half of 2022. So sometime right around now. And right now, I can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. But right now, they would be coming online, and they would be able to counter everything that Putin is offering Europe, natural gas. We would be able to do that. We would be able to cut through his attempts to raise money by selling to Europe. We would have had that option. If Biden is serious about supplying Americans with plentiful, affordable energy and defeating Putin in the energy war, he could have allowed this project. But he didn't. It's now going to take years to wean Europe off Russian natural gas. But they harass these projects. They hold these projects up. They delay these projects. They cancel these projects. And look where we're at now. So in California, last weekend, there was a shooting that left 6 people dead and 12 people wounded. And after it happened, we started seeing things like this. 6 killed, 12 wounded. Why did you do this? Renewed calls for gun control. But immediately, it started falling apart as a mass shooting. Okay? There was a stolen handgun. So again, stolen meaning not within the law. So I'm sure they didn't file for a permit to buy ammunition. But what did it turn out to be? I think we all know how this turns out to be. This guy, one of the guys, was let out of jail 6 years early, even though he had a violent incarceration. We knew this guy was a gang member and a criminal, and we let him out. We knew he wasn't rehabilitated, but we have some stupid point system, and we got to stick with it. He earned his 33% reduction in his time. And then they just bumped it up by giving him credit for time that he was in jail and all kinds of nonsense. They look for reasons to let people out of jail, okay? I don't know all the reasons that they find, but they let this guy out. It turns out it was a gang shooting. But immediately they want to bring up that the gun had been modified to fire automatic. So now they're going to go after the little blocks and sears and things like that you have out there. It's a little kit that you can put in a gun and basically turn it from semi-automatic to automatic. But they're going to go after that. They're, again, here in LA, Gascon won't even use gang enhancements. But they're going to worry about auto sears and things like that. They're going to blame the gun, not the criminal. Nah. Well, this one isn't going to relax me anymore, but this is what they call newspeak. And this is gatekeeping, the fascist, socialist way. That's why there's a QIA at the end of the LGBT now, because everybody understood what LGBT meant, so you had to add on some other letters, and you have to have all of these things, Latinx, birthing people. You see, if you refer to somebody as just, black, They want you to be using purple of color. Good. Yeah, I'm not off the rails. People of color. They want you to use birthing people. They want you to put the QIA at the end. Because in that way they know, oh, yes, you've been reading all the right things. We could be friends. Well, whatever. Another ridiculous thing being pointed out here. That's why I'm so against one side. Yes, I am against a lot of things from the Republicans. I do not like what they're doing, banning abortions. I think it's stupid. I think the states that ban abortion, even in cases of rape, are cruel. And I got no love for you. You need to change your ways. But some of this shit from the left is just literally ridiculous without any sort of reasoning behind it. The same people who believe young children are responsible enough to order their own sex change also have said that 18-year-olds aren't responsible enough to sign up for student loan debt. See? Which is it? I mean, I have no problem with people transitioning. But it needs to be adults transitioning on their own accord, not because their parents signed away that you can't do that. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if you're the parent, you can't buy your kid alcohol. It's the way it works, okay? And it seems to be that those two things should be in the same category. Anyhow, U.S. court reinstates Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for all federal employees. Are we really still playing this game? Are we? Because I'm not. I'm not going around wearing a mask anymore. I don't even think I have to show my vax cards anymore. Nobody seems to give a shit. We're done with it. It's over with. The people who are at risk will assess that risk and act accordingly. The rest of us will just go on with our day. You want to know how crazy it's getting? Kenosha, where they had the Kyle Rittenhouse case born there. They have elected a Republican for a county executive position. Why? Because they're already seeing it doesn't work. Defunding the police didn't work. Open borders don't work. Ending our energy independence doesn't work. There's nothing right now that the left is doing that is working. Okay? Yes, you can bring up little minuscule examples here and there, and you could probably put up a picture of fat Trump if you want. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to major broad topics that affect most people, the Democrats are failing. So Biden wants to raise more money. He wants to do it by going after billionaires. And we're going to look at some of this. They want to tax unrealized capital gains, okay? Which means they want to tax the value of your home or your stocks, even if you don't sell them. And we're going to see right here very quickly why that's such a bad idea. Okay? Because first of all, it is a big tax hike on workers. As you can see right here, he says, that he's going to raise the corporate tax rate, right? But I'm a little bit off right now. But 50% of that burden will come out of the workers' wallets. That's just the way it is. Overtime will be ended. People's hours will be cut. Less people will be hired. But if his corporate tax proposal, passes, the Tax Foundation analysis found that it would lead to lower wages, lower economic growth, and 159,000 fewer jobs. So, we might want to think about this, because in reality, it's a bad idea to tax these unrealized gains, because, wow, we've gone out of order. Sorry there, folks. That's just how it is with me. You know that. You've seen anything. So back to the unintended consequences. I hate myself. When Elon Musk sold $16 billion worth of Tesla stock at the end of the year, right? It tanked 11%. So if Elon Musk has to sell stock to pay the taxes on his unrealized gains, Tesla stock could go down 11% or maybe even more. Well, what does that mean? Where's the unintended consequences? Well, what about all the people who invest in Tesla? What about all the retirement funds? And we're not talking about just Elon Musk. We're talking about a handful of people who already pay their fair share. Don't get it twisted. Affecting the average person in a way that the average person can't easily recover from. See, that's the difference here. This would be a huge risk for everyday investors. Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft. They represent a significant percentage of our 401ks, retirements. And these would take a hit if high-earning founders and executives had to dump their shares. See, a lot of times, these rich people, somebody like an Elon Musk, he may be worth X amount of dollars, okay? But a lot of that is in stocks. If he doesn't sell the stocks, he's not taxed on them. It's better for him, okay? He pays less taxes because he's not using it as income. But then again, fair is fair. All right, those are the rules. If he then has to pay these unrealized gains, he's going to have to sell stock. Because it's not like he has billions and billions of dollars in the bank. Most of his money is tied up in stocks. But this is the part where I return to the part about billionaires and their taxes. I love it. But people like Elizabeth Warren and AOC often say they don't pay fair share. But when you look at 2018, which is the most recent year of tax data, okay, because it takes them a while to go through those Excel spreadsheets. But anyhow, the top 1% of earners paid 40 cents of every $1 the IRS collected in personal income tax. The bottom 50 paid 3 cents. What that shows is that we have a tax structure that's fair. The bottom 50%, so half of the people who paid taxes, only paid 3 cents per dollar collected by the IRS. Kind of sums it up. It kind of makes it, Here's another one. The top 0.1% pays more than 30% of all federal taxes. Meanwhile, the top 10% pays 70%. So the bottom 90 pays 30% of federal income taxes. Fair is fair. Fair is fair. But what it really gets to, at least for my viewpoint here, is that we don't need to raise more tax money. We need to spend the money more wisely. And I found one example to just sum that up for you. The federal government is doing such a bad job that the government lost 5 times more to stimulus fraud than it spent developing the COVID-19 vaccine. Boom. That's just one example. You want a second example? Here in California, they spent over $800,000 to house one person, to build one tiny little one-room house. And those programs are failing. They should be looking to cut federal spending, not slipping more hikes. Because every time you tax the rich people, they tax the next class below them. It's the way it works. Yeah, Will Smith banned from the Oscars. Don't care. U.S. agency opening up probe into electrical vehicle batteries. A lot of defects. They catch on fire. It's going to suck. Here's another one. New Era Energy was sentenced to 5 years probation because they killed 150 eagles. I mean, look, wind farms, fine. I guess they're going to work, but again, it's, they're killing eagles. Speaking of energy, here's Biden using our strategic oil reserves to try to get the Democrats out of trouble. Why are they just not doing whatever they can to increase our own supply Okay? Whether it be something like Keystone or just offshore drilling in Alaska, just do it in the best, cleanest possible way and get us to freaking gas, dude. But the strategic oil reserves, those are for emergencies only. And the only emergency is that his plan has completely failed. More good news for EV. The shipping giant that ships, had you know what? I don't even think they were the owners of Felicity Ace. I don't know that. Okay. But they're not going to ship used EVs anymore. These things are so problematic, and yet we're supposed to believe that we're just going to plow ahead with this, and pretty soon we're all going to be driving electric. Yeah, okay. So, BLM, buy large mansions. I teased this at the beginning, so here we go. Let's try to get through this. So, why did BLM pay $5.8 million for a mansion that was bought a few days earlier for $3.1 million? Kind of doesn't make sense, does it? But if you've taken those financial literacy classes, you know how this works. Diane Pascal, who was working for the BLM founder, bought the house for $3.1 million. Okay? And then turned around and sold it to BLM for $5.8 million. Okay? So essentially, Diane Pascal, right there, she gets a loan for $3.1 million. 5 days later, she sells it for $5.8 million back to BLM, who she's working for, pays off the mortgage, and pockets $2.7 million. So that is how you take $2.7 million from a charity and you move it over to one of your employees or friends. I'm guessing. That's how you do it, right there. No, we didn't give her money. We bought a house off of her. We bought a house off of her that 5 days ago or so was worth $2.7 million less. Does that make any sense? That's the corruption. Right there. And BLM ain't the only one who does it, okay? Property company apparently bought the property that Biden's on and sold it to him at a reduced cost. And that's how you bribe somebody without bribing them. No, we didn't bribe him. We bought his son's artwork. We didn't bribe him. We sold him a piece of property. We didn't steal $2.7 million from our charity. We bought a house. A $6 million house in Studio City to be used as an influencer house or a safe house. Really? Because when you buy a giant mansion like that, everybody knows where you're going to be. People will find out. If you need a safe house, you buy nondescript apartments. If you need an influencer house, you buy somewhere cheap. Somewhere where you're not going to be surrounded by people who want to figure out where you are. But smack dab, Studio City. Good work. But that's how you do it. And then when people, such as myself, call you out on it, Black Lives Matter shows how liberal groups weaponize social media censorship. And they were talking about how they actually have like a global influence, network. They use their influence to steer conversations away from things like this obvious fraud. And why do they do this? Right there. Black Lives Matter is just another racket. I have on this show expressed my hatred of people who take advantage of race, sexuality, religion. They're the grossest people. If you say you're here to help, then you should help. Nothing more. You shouldn't profit. You shouldn't swindle. But just like PTL, Tammy and Jim Baker were some Christian evangelists. And they used the power of God to swindle millions of dollars. They took in something like $240 million in donations. Black Lives Matter is no different. There you go. See, they remember who Jim and Tammy Baker are. Peter Popoff. They prey on people's goodness. And that's what they do. They prey on people's goodness. People willing to help. I don't think we should sit and condemn people who gave money to BLM. We shouldn't. They thought they were doing what was right. They thought they were giving money to somebody who believed what they believed. So, to get people into their racket, they have to present a problem that they're there to solve, you know? Are you sad in your everyday life? Then let Jesus into your heart. If you're suffering from a disease, let the Lord cure you. Send me $50. Well, for them, the problem was that black people can be killed at any time. And how do they get this kind of nonsense across? Well, if you look here in a 2020 poll, about a fifth of the people who described themselves, 20% of the people who said they were very liberal, thought it was about 10,000 unarmed black people were killed every year by police, right? Among self-described just liberals, about 40% thought that figure was somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 people. The actual figure at the time was around 10, okay? 10. So all you need is that 40% who believe that 1,000 black people were killed unarmed by the police. Just police walking down the street, hey, black guy. It's not really the way it worked, but if you get enough people believing it, you get a lot, right? I mean, 40% of the people that were surveyed, if 40% of Americans, which would be math hard, crashing, at least 100 million people. If you get 100 million people to send you $1, you got a lot of money. And that's what BLM did. And we're seeing it. We're seeing them buying up real estate, collecting all of this, writing it off as salary. What are they doing? This Patrice Colliers, who said she's no longer with the organization, claimed to be a trained Marxist. Like, that's real. Like, there is no such thing as a trained Marxist. But it turned out that the only thing she really learned about Marxism was that some Marxists are more equal than others. Because they're taking the money and running. That's what they're doing. We see this in that real estate deal. You have a representative buy it for you. You then buy it at overinflated price, and you guys split the profit. And you've just cleared a couple $1 million right out of BLM's wallet. $2.7 million. Poof, just like that. And if she was a corrupt televangelist, she would be claiming that our critics were sinning against God. Today, they just say that we're racist. It's a very clever way. All right, I've had enough of talking about weak-ass women. I want to talk about some free-thinking ones. One of my favorites, Tulsi Gabbard. Probably not even pronouncing that right. I suck at this sometimes. The Trump policy of having people wait on the other side of the border worked and needs to be reinstated. Yeah. We're going to have the federal employees mandated to get vaccinated, but we're going to just allow people into the country now? Just which policy is it? Which is it? Another one from Tulsi. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. Wow. Ben Franklin. Holy shit. You know, they talk about our founding fathers didn't know we'd have M16s. Well, our founding fathers didn't know we'd have Twitter. But they spoke about it. Nancy Mace, I was a competitive swimmer growing up, but I want to know where the feminists are. Yes. You fought for women's rights. And now women's rights are under fire again by a very small, pequeñito minority out there who want to play games where men are women. Okay. Quick boomer one. We had no idea how good we had it and no clue that we were the last ones. Yeah, even my teenage daughter admitted that it seems like we had it better. As kids. I mean, I know there were a lot of problems back then. Speedy Gonzalez was banned by Cartoon Network for being offensive, only be returned after mass protests from the Hispanic American community. Yeah, they should do the same thing in reverse with Latinx. Don't tell people what's racist. Don't be that white girl who's out there taking, Speedy Gonzalez is racist. That's what my professor said. Now shut the fuck up. If Hispanic Americans have a problem with Speedy Gonzalez, then they should speak up about it. And if they do have a problem with it, remove him. They love the guy. Sorry. They have a sense of humor, and you can't take that away from them. Teachers, when I was a kid, I hope everyone had a good recess. It's time for math. Teachers now, whiteness is a privilege. Now, who's ready to hear about my sexuality? Welcome to the new Disney. Holy shit, we're moving into the best of the week, folks. Not to be outdone, Bill Gates buys 9.2% of MySpace. The Babylon Bee. Biden congratulates Michelle Obama on Supreme Court confirmation. Oh, yeah. Yep. I said your money or your life. I'm thinking it over. Yeah, that's where we're at right now with gas prices. It's really starting to affect everybody's life because we're back to having to consider if something's worth doing because of the gas. And that sucks. Okay? That's not what we voted for. All right? That's not what we vote for. We don't want our leaders to figure out ways to inflate gas prices. You want to convert to electricity? Great. That's noble. Good luck with that. But for now, we're using gas and diesel. Okay? And natural gas. So fucking fix it. I think it's cute you still believe in him. I was thinking the same thing. Name something that upsets a liberal. I wonder. Somebody did some photoshopping on this. Science and Donald Trump down at the bottom. I think Donald Trump probably would have been a little bit higher. National anthem maybe should have been down at 4. With science, I'm thinking I'd move Donald Trump up a little bit because he triggers the hell out of him. In fact, he probably should have been the number one answer. But good work, whoever did this. Doctors now prescribing Krispy Kremes to kids for fat-affirming care. Oh, lordy. I just, look, this is the humor that a person like myself grew up in. And to see it being applied now politically and issues of society is just wonderful. Because this kind of shows, this satirizes the nonsense that's going on out of the left. It's just as nonsensical as what the left has proposed. Biden repeats false claim that he once flew an A-wing into a superstar destroyer. Oh my God. See, the big difference between Trump's lies and Biden's lies is Trump knew he was lying and knew where he was. Biden thinks it's real and has no clue where he's standing. In a historic moment, Senate confirms first ever non-biologist. I mean, congratulations. I mean, look, great. So we could check that off. We have our first female black justice on the Supreme Court. Congratulations. We've done it. But it's not a great example of it, is it? You see? The Democrats get to have the placard that says, first black female justice. They stopped it when Bush tried to do it. So they got credit for it. But then they're also kind of reminding you, hey, black women could be crazy and have some crazy views or whatever it is that you dislike about this woman. They put it out there instead of getting somebody who was a little bit more middle. But, hey, whatever. Congratulations, we've done it. President Barack Obama returns to the White House after growing tired of working remotely. I personally, I disagree with this because these things may have been part of Obama's agenda, but he's not running the show, okay? There's nobody running the show. This is a boat at sea. Everybody is downstairs playing poker, and nobody is manning the wheel. All right? They are headed straight at an iceberg, and, quite frankly, I think they've hit the iceberg, and the iceberg is starting to crack through the hole. But that's why I hope that America takes this opportunity to move to the middle. We're seeing nonsense on the left and we're seeing nonsense on the right. A lot of people, I think, when both sides are weighed, I think they tend to be a one-issue voter and they go one way or the other. But look where that one issue has gotten you, okay? Just look at something like abortion. The two one issues that people vote for, either stop abortion or everybody can have an abortion, right? I understand why people support it that strongly. But there's a lot more than just that one issue. Keep that in mind because it's going to be time to vote soon. Copious out. Boom. Vote with your head, not your heart.